We're also very honoured to have Professor Orla Feely here to launch the book for us. To introduce Orla is Una Breen of UCD School of Law. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. You're very, very welcome. As Ruth said, my name is Una Breen. I'm the Vice Chair of UCD Press, and it gives me really great pleasure to be here this evening to launch the third edition of Aidan's book, Managing Your Own Learning at University. It's always a pleasure to work with Aidan at UCD Press. And on behalf of the editorial board, I'd like to congratulate him on this really super new volume. And in that vein, also to express a word of appreciation to our UCD Press staff, who've done an excellent job on the production. I think you'd agree it's a very handsome volume when you're holding it in your hands. And I'd like to thank our executive editor, Noel Moran, who started the process on this edition, to our acting executive editor, Ruth Hallinan, who beautifully caught the ball as it was passed, and to our stalwart, Conor Graham, our editorial assistant, who has done a beautiful job on bringing it all together. So well done to you all this evening. Professor Orla Feely is going to launch the book formally this evening, and my only task is to introduce her to you. Orla is UCD's Vice President for Research, Innovation and Impact, and she's a Professor of Electronic Engineering in her own right. She's a graduate of both UCD and of the University of California at Berkeley, which is where she graduated from on a PhD thesis, for which she won the DJ Sacrosanct Memorial Prize for outstanding and innovative research, which I think was a real sign that she was going to end up in this job as Vice President at UCD for Research, Innovation and Impact. Professor Feely is a member of the Royal Irish Academy. She's a Fellow of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, and from a student perspective, one that always catches my eye, she's a director of the Young Scientist and Technology Exhibition, something we're very familiar with every year, where we do see the benefits of students who manage their own learning. She's a member of the HEA, and she's also a former chair of the Irish Research Council. I had the pleasure of hearing Orla recently address our incoming first-year students at our Welcome Day ceremonies. And she explained to our freshers that we are all really students of learning here at UCD. That's a quest for everybody. It's not just our first years, it's not just our returning students, but in fact all of us, academics too, in our research are part of that quest for knowledge. So Orla brings a real passion to her role, both as Vice President for Research, but she also has that tangible recognition that you can only do good research if there's good learning behind it. So they walk hand in hand. So because of that, I can't think of any person who would be better selected to launch Aidan's book formally this evening. So please, Orla, the stage is yours.
Thank you, that's much too kind. Thank you very much. I feel a bit of a fraud here. You know, my lecturing days are a few years behind me now, and I miss them greatly. I loved dealing with students. I loved dealing with engineering students in particular. And so leafing through the book here, which I was very kindly supplied with, it brought all that back to me, and what an important task it is, and what an honour it is for us in an institution like ours to be entrusted with the learning that these wonderful young minds will undertake while in our care. So this is, while my work in research, I will, can talk for hours if you let me about the importance of our research, but really, really what we're about is educating brilliant young minds. And this is what this is all about. It is supporting them to manage their own learning in the university environment. So I'm so honoured and delighted, and thank you so much for the invitation to launch this here today. Another reason I'm delighted to be here is that UCD Press is part of my portfolio, and it's an unsung part, an unsung gem, if you like, of what we have here in UCD. With its tiny, tiny staff, they deliver work of such beauty and quality, and they turn it around so quickly. So Noel, who is not here today, Ruth, who is here today, Conor, who is here today, the management board, the editorial board, and thank you, Una, for all that you do. It's a job of work that is very important to our university, and I'm delighted to be able to support it. Delighted as well that this book is the best seller ever for the press in its previous editions. It has sold over 10,000 copies in previous editions, and therefore we are expecting great things, Aidan, from this one. So thank you for your contribution to our work. The first edition was in 1997, as I recall, the second in 2000, and now here we are in 2018. And when you think about how much has changed in the management of learning over that intervening period, but how much stays the same. And so there are the fundamentals of how our minds engage, but how we engage in this new environment of VLEs and distractions in the form of our phones and Xboxes and the like. It's a real new challenge, and it's great that Aidan is applying his great knowledge to this challenge to inform us and to inform those who are engaging in learning at university how they can best adapt to maximise their learning in this new environment. Another reason why I'm really interested in this is that I've got two boys at home who are just starting their junior cert year, and I'm trying to take them on the journey of managing their own learning. I'm the only one who's on that journey at the moment, I have to say. But I am just dying, and I bought yesterday in the student union shop an academic diary so we can make up colour-coded study plans and everything for them. So I don't quite know how that journey is all going to go, but hopefully informed by the book here, I will be able to make a better fist of it, while recognising it is ultimately their own job. I will also apply some of the findings to my own work and talk about maintaining focus amidst distractions. We can all learn from that. So certainly I'm sure that there will be tips for all of us, whatever stage of learning we are at. So Aidan, thank you for all the work that you've done. And again, Una, thank you for referencing the few words that I gave to the incoming students. For me, our research in UCD is inextricably linked with our teaching and the education that we deliver. And Aidan is a wonderful example of that. Your absolute excellence in research, particularly in sports psychology, and then you turn that to the recognition that this is a muscle up here as well, and how do we make best use of that, and turning your research findings into really practical tips to deliver impact to the population. So we are delighted that you've yet again turned your hand to educate us in this way. Thank you to Kevin and to Angela for releasing Aidan to this important task. We are delighted that he was able to do it. And I wish the book a safe journey outwards into the world. I know that so many of our students, and I know you gave a very well-attended seminar to our students just now on study skills, and I hope that they benefit really, really greatly from this, and that they find themselves able to manage their learning and therefore develop the kind of wonderful careers that we all hope that they gain as a result of their time in UCD. Thanks all for being here, and I wish you a pleasant night.
Thanks very much, Orla. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, good evening, everybody. Thanks for turning up. I know that it's always difficult to find time to do these things, but I'm really delighted that you're all here, and thanks for that. I wrote the book, as Orla said, to help students to become active and independent learners, and to think for themselves. But, in psychology, we've discovered that thinking for yourself turns out to be a lot more complex than we had imagined. Thinking is natural, as I say in the book, but critical thinking is not natural, because you really have to ask the right questions. And in psychology, we've discovered that every question you ask has a different effect on the mind. And if you ask questions about how two things are the same, that's analytical thinking. If you ask questions about in what way would something be different in the future, that's creative thinking, and so on. So questions are at the heart of the book, and I think curiosity is the one quality that I feel is underestimated among people making that transition. So I really feel strongly that curiosity is something we need to encourage, and without curiosity, thinking critically will just simply not develop. So I'd like to mention a few things before I thank people. One good thing that I've learned is that there are lots of new modules in UCD and elsewhere that are encouraging the kind of thinking and learning that is really important, active learning. So, for example, my colleague Suzanne Guerin, she's around somewhere, Susie has developed a module called Key Skills and Concepts in Psychology for first years. And it's built around giving them tasks to make them active in their learning. And similarly, another colleague, Jennifer Simmons from the School of Education, is using the book in conjunction with the Career Centre for a module she developed called Human Learning. And what's interesting about Jennifer's module is it attracted students from all over the university to take this module. So more and more, we're having these modules that are teaching critical thinking skills across the spectrum. It's not just in one field. But any book requires a lot of help, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank a number of people without whom the book would not have been possible. So firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the research assistance I received from Helen O'Shea, who contributed material for 2 chapters. Helen, thanks very much for all your help. And Helen, despite doing a PhD and moving house, both of which are highly stressful experiences, especially doing one with me can be a stressful experience, despite all that, and living in Kilkenny, she never once missed a meeting. And it's remarkable that she was so motivated and so skilled and successful. So I really want to thank Helen from the bottom of my heart. It's been a great help to me. Nextly, I'd like to thank colleagues from UCD Press, Ruth Hallinan and Noel Moran and Conor Graham, for encouraging me all the time in the 3 months it took to rewrite and get everything done. And they transformed the manuscript I submitted into a beautifully designed book, which I think most people would agree is really good to look at. And so thanks very much to them for all the help they gave me, and especially in liaising with the centre here tonight, the O'Brien Centre, for organising the launch. I'd like to move on and talk about people who worked at a personal level and really helped. Colin Burke, where is Colin? I'd like to thank Colin for all his friendship and being so cheerful at all times when things were going awry, and also for his technical knowledge. And I want to thank Andrew Flood, who gave up his time this evening. Andrew is our IT expert. I will say, Andrew, that I was pretty shocked when you told me you were going to record everything on a phone. But you're the expert, so I trust you completely. And it's amazing how technology has changed, how a simple phone can record everything in high definition quality. I was expecting a big camera. And Andrew said, well, I can put the phone in a big camera if you like. But he was very good to come along. So Andrew, you brought a prop. Thanks very much. I'm also grateful to a number of academic colleagues, many of whom are here tonight, for all the help and support they gave me. We've been through some tough times, I've had some medical challenges, and I had nothing but support from the School of Psychology, who all rallied around and said, if you want me to take a student, if you want me to teach something for you, just let me know. And you only discover who your friends are when things go wrong. And I'd like to thank all my colleagues, especially those who turned up here tonight, for all the help they gave me through all the tough times I've had. I'd also like to thank people such as Alan Carr, Amanda Fitzgerald, Ciara Green, Suzanne Guerin, Ayla Shaughnessy and Brendan Rooney for practical suggestions about what to include in the book. I may not have listened to all of your suggestions, but I'm really grateful for the fact that you gave them. And thanks very much for all that. And almost finished, but I'd like to thank various people for financial support I received. For example, the College of Social Sciences and Law gave a grant which enabled me to hire research assistants for a lot of the work that went into the book. I'd also like to thank Brian O'Higgins, who's the manager of AIB Campus Branch, who gave some financial support for organising the launch, and the School of Psychology, who also contributed to the cost of this venue. But finally, I'd like to thank my wife Angela, wherever she is, Angela, and my son Kevin, and my siblings Kieran and Dermot, who are both away, but Patricia, my sister, who's here, for their wonderful love and support at all times. And I can try and echo it in one final sentence. Without Kevin and Angela, I wouldn't be able to manage myself, let alone manage to write a book. So I really value the love and support you've given me at all times. Thank you. So, just to finish, again, I'd like to thank all of you who came along. I've got some great friends here and colleagues, and some students. I know Hazel and Eleanor have been here from the Psychology Society, and there are others around the place. And many colleagues who are student advisors. And really, it's the student advisors we need to help the students along that journey. It's easy for me to write about it, but they, the student advisors like Kieran and all the others who are here tonight, who Colleen and other people here, are the ones who are in the front line. So without their support, the UCD students would be all the poorer. So we've got people arriving in lifts, and we've got music playing in the background. So I think that's a suitable time to end. So enjoy the rest of the night. And Brian, thanks very much for the financial support. Thank you very much.